I like the Sonic series. I love it, in fact. Most of the main series is fast, exhilarating, requires quick thinking, has some good puzzle solving in some games, and some of the stories, while rather cheesy in concept, have big stakes, lovable characters, plenty of development for some, and loads of lines that we will never forget.
Ha! Think I'd miss this? Time to crack that Eggman wide open! Yeah, let's party!
But with that being said, none of us are blind to the more questionable stuff that happens as the series goes on, even in the more praised games. Questions like, how is the moon suddenly whole out of nowhere as if the eclipse cannon never blew it in half? How could Princess Elise not cry for 10 years straight? How can Crisis City exist in generations if Sonic 06 was erased from the timeline? What's the deal with the Lost Hex? Why didn't they ever consider finding the Chaos Emeralds at any point in Forces? What is with Sonic Team's obsession with Amy and fortune cards? Why did those brain-dead voice directors decide to change Rouge from a sassy, seductive charmer to an annoying, high-pitched Beverly Hills Valley girl? But one question that is generally asked is, how old is Sonic? The manuals for the classic games would state that Sonic is a certain age, but when he got a redesign for the Dreamcast, which implies in Generations that this is an older look for him compared to before, the manuals state that he is still 15 years old. And speaking of Generations, even after having a birthday party at the start and end of that game, official websites and character bios after Generations still list him as 15. 1. I find it hard to believe that everything that happened in the classic era, the adventure games, the 4Kids era, Colors, and everything considered canon in between all happened in a single year. And 2, how can you have a clearly shown birthday and still not decide to age him up? Not even a single year older. Yes, I am aware that this is a cartoony game series, all about a blue hedgehog who runs at the speed of sound, is best friends with a fox born with 2 tails, regularly fights an evil fat scientist in an egg-shaped aircraft, in a world that contains giant pinballs, loop-de-loops made from Earth, floating islands, mystical gems with unlimited energy, and now a little race of aliens that give you superpowers. And yet, the inconsistencies with the characters' ages is where I draw the line with this series. That and the moon. That's just inexcusable. So, I'm going to take this opportunity to come up with my own headcanon theories as to how old each of the more memorable characters are. This includes the Anthromoles, as I like to call them, the Eggmen, and some more noteworthy characters. And then, borrowing an idea from Xpool, I'll be splitting each anniversary game, Adventure 2, Sonic 06, Generations, Forces, and Frontiers, as separate years. Let me explain. There's the classic era, which includes Sonic 1, CD, 2, 3 and Knuckles, Sega Sonic, with Tails' Sky Patrol happening at the same time, Triple Trouble, Flicky's Island, Knuckles Chaotix, Mania, and Superstars. Hey, if the anniversary IDW comics didn't include so many references to obscure, forgotten classic games, I wouldn't have had so much done in just 1 year, okay? And then I'm going to skip ahead a couple of years into where Sonic has his older looking teenage redesign. We'll call this Year 1, which includes Sonic 4 Episodes 1 and 2, Episode Metal Didn't Happen, Sonic Adventure, and Sonic Advance 1 and 2. Then Year 2, which includes Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, Shadow 05, Battle, Advance 3, and Sonic Riders. Year 3, which includes Sonic 06, Rivals, Rush, Secret Rings, Rush Adventure, Zero Gravity, Rivals 2, Unleashed, Black Knight, Free Riders, and Colors. Busy year. Year 4, which includes Sonic Generations, Shadow Generations, Lost World, Team Sonic Racing, and the first stage of Sonic Forces. Year 5 will have the 6 months of skipped time, then the rest of Forces and IDW comic issues 1 to 32. Year 6 will have issues 33 to 56, Sonic Dream Team, issues 57 to 67, Grow Up and Behave Yourselves, Sonic Frontiers, and issue 68. And then the current year so far, Year 7, which includes issues 69 to 75, The Chaotix Case Files, Crossworlds, why not, and issues 76 onwards. Also, I will attempt to give each of the characters birthday dates and also make them the same as the release dates from their debut game. Like, I'll make Sonic's birthday up to be June 23rd, the release date of Sonic 1, Tails' will be 21st of November, the same date as Sonic 2, etc, etc. If some dates are repeated from another game release, or if there's more than one character debuting in the same game, then I'll look for a different date. And as for the comic characters, I'll think about it when we get there. And remember, all of this is not fact. I will be doing research on the characters, the games, the IDW comics, and the default ages for each animal, but this is all headcanon shit. It's not meant to be taken all that seriously, even though I'm treating it as such, but I'm just trying to make some sense into some inconsistencies. So, let's get started with Sonic the Hedgehog. Already starting off with a famous inconsistency, Sonic is listed to be 16 years old in the classic era manuals, but 15 in official sources after his radical redesign. Well, I'm going to try and fix it. Comparing both classic and modern Sonic back to back, I'm going to headcanon that classic is, at most, 5 years younger than his form in Generations, which doesn't look too different from his adventure promo art. People also don't tend to grow any taller when they're teenagers anyways, so yeah. So, for now, I'm going to declare that Sonic's age in the classic era as 11 years old, where he's still quite young, justifying the cuter look, but is old enough to have an attitude, quip one-liners, and insult the fat red scientist guy. And year 1 shall start when Sonic is 14 years old, 3 years apart. Not too bad of a disconnect, wouldn't you say? And when lining up with the Sonic Heroes manual, the only manual from the adventure era onwards to officially list the characters' ages, Sonic will be 15 years old by year 2, where Heroes takes place. In year 3, he will be 16. In year 4, where we see him having a surprise birthday party in Generations, he turns 17 years old. In year 5, he's 18. In year 6, he's 19. And in year 7, the latest year, he is 20 years old. Not too bad. He'd still be young and snarky enough to insult Eggman with one-liners or play Shadow around, but by Frontiers and the Metal Virus saga, he will feel and sound more mature enough to make hard decisions and keep himself running for the sake of the world. As for his birthday, simple, June 23rd. Moving on. Tails the Fox. This is where things get a bit more tricky. I've decided to make Tails' birthday as November 21st, the same date Sonic 2 was released. But since it takes place in late autumn, this is going to make the placement of each character's ages in these hypothetical years harder, since their birthdays are spread out evenly throughout the seasons. But the thing is, every single one of the games are not set in no specific season of the year. They are always set on normal, sunny, or cloudy days with normal weather. Whenever we see ice or snow in the levels, it's just because we've run across the world to snowy regions. Places like Pumpkin Hill or Hang Castle. It's not Halloween when Knuckles ventures there. The place just looks like that. But then there's the opposite extreme, where Mushroom Hill will have a summer-esque aesthetic to an autumn aesthetic in an instant. And then a few hours later, we are trudging through the scorching hot desert on the same island. So, for the sake of keeping things simpler for this video, I'm going to state each year I've listed before with the same games, but the differing ages will be when the birthday will take place that year. For instance, in the classic era, Tails is quite young. I wasn't sure what age to make him when he was mocked and met Sonic for the first time, but then after rewatching The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, for no reason, the show threw this fact at me in a random scene in a random episode.
Now let's check the notes.
I'm only 4.5 years old. I don't know how to write yet.
Sure, I'll make him 4 years old. I mean, the fox is a child genius. He knows how to repair and fly a plane in his debut game, never mind what he can do in later games. This means by year 1, 3 years later, he will be 7 years old in Sonic Adventure 1, 8 in year 2, lining up with the Hero's Manual, 9 in year 3, 10 in year 4, matching up with Kate Higgins' deeper voice for him, 11 years old in year 5, 12 by year 6, and 13 years old by year 7. So, by Crossworld, he will still be quite young, but he will be brave enough to make his own decisions and not rely on Sonic as much as he used to. Sure, some of Colleen O'Shaughnessy's voice performances might not reflect this age too well.
Wow, that was crazy, Sonic. You weren't kidding. It's like you never left.
And Sonic Forces destroyed everything about him, but this is the best I can do. Amy Rose. Amy's birthday will be September the 23rd, the earliest release date of Sonic CD. And as you may have noticed, I had been using the Sonic Heroes Manual as a basis for how old the character should be by year 2, when Heroes takes place. So, why don't I see the rest of the established ages from these old manuscripts, do a bit of math, and if the subtracted number matches up to their classic era design, then I may consider it. So, the manual states Amy is 12 years old by Sonic Heroes. 12 take away 4 equals 8. Amy should be 8 years old by the events of Sonic CD and Superstars. And I'm guessing that her old garb in those games are a reference to Japanese girls' school uniforms, just in bolder colors. So, fine by me. 8 would be the perfect age where she would become mad in love with Sonic after rescuing her, or believe everything her fortune cards say, according to the Sonic Origins cutscene. By year 1, she will be 11 years old, where she'll still be romantically clingy to Sonic, but will grow more confident enough to defeat Zero all by herself. In year 2, she will be 12. Rule of thumb, where she will be able to take out Eggman in a powerful Emperor robot. 13 in year 3, 14 in year 4, 15 in year 5, where she has grown enough to become the Resistance's second-in-command. By year 6, she will be 16 years old, and by year 7, she will be 17, becoming bold enough to spread her positivity to the world. Trust me, Amy, after the metal virus, they are going to need all the love and care they can get. Knuckles the Echidna. His birthday, referencing Sonic 3's release date, will be February the 2nd. Sonic Heroes, 16. Takeaway 4, 12 years old when the Death Egg crashed into Angel Island. When the Master Emerald shatters in year 1, 15. Fighting back against the Black Arms in year 2, 16. Rule of thumb, refusing to jump off of walls in year 3, 17. Sucked into a white void in year 4, 18. Leading the Resistance into a mission that kills 80% of their forces in year 5, 19. Seriously, that was fucked up. When he's trapped in cyberspace in year 6, 20. And in year 7, his current age would be 21 years old. Not much more to say. Dr. Eggman. His birthday will be... Oh wait, he debuted in the first game, and I already gave that birthday to Sonic. Well, I can always give him the day after, June 24th, or maybe the latest release date of Sonic 1, July 31st, in Europe. Or maybe the release of the Master System game, October 25th. Or the Game Gear version, the 28th of December. Or... Oh! I have an idea. Why don't we have Eggman's birthday be the same date as Sonic's after all? I mean, they're not the same species, they are decades apart from each other, and maybe that'll be the future driving force for the Doctor's hatred for Sonic. At first, he was just a little rebel going up against his plans of world robotization and domination. But as time went on, and they fought each other more and more, while everyone in the animal world came to celebrate Sonic's arrival to this life, no one celebrated Eggman's. And why would they? He tried to harm them, kill them, roll over them, make their world a living hell. So he has no one to celebrate his birthday with but the many robots surrounding him, who can't even express joy about his big day, and are just going to get spin dashed and thrown into the scrap pile anyway. That Hedgehog will pay. Soon, they won't be paying their respects to him on this day, but to me. They'll see. Sorry, I'm not attempting to laugh. As for his age, well, clearly Eggman is much older than the animal friends.
Hello, I'm sitting right here, you know.
So much so that even the Hero's Manual doesn't have a definitive age for him, when almost everyone else does. He's just that old.
Seriously, I'm right here. I can still hear you.
So let's just say, during the Robotnik years, he will be about 40 years old. Why not? Meaning by year 1, he will be 44 years old. By year 2, 45. Year 3, 46. Year 4, 47. Year 5, 48. Year 6, 49. And by year 7, a big, round 50 years old. Maybe since he's over halfway through a normal human's lifespan, having an artificial daughter in Sage makes him all the more happier inside, especially since he can now finally celebrate his birthdays with someone other than one-dimensional disposable badniks. Someone with a deep respect and honor for him. Fang the Hunter. Now we're getting into the characters who debuted in the 90s games, or at least during the classic era timeline, but never reappeared again during the modern era, and at this rate never will, implying by certain Easter egg posters that they had been erased off of the face of Mobius for years, and no one knows what had ever happened to them. Starting off with Knack the Weasel, Fang the Sniper, Fang the Hunter. His birthday will be the Game Gear release of his debut game, Sonic Triple Trouble, the 11th of November. As for his age, well, these next few characters never had their ages featured in these games' manuals or most outside sources, so we can just guess on what their ages are. So, since Fang was originally designed to be in his late 20s, some Sonic characters are allowed to be 20 years old, and Fang looks to be a professional treasure hunter who knows what he's doing most of the time. I will make him 27. Not too young, not too far, if you know what I mean. And if he ever returns in the IDW comics or anything similar, which has still yet to be, Fang would be 36 in this headcanon theory. Let me tell you, he will be packing more than just pop guns. He means business. The Witchcarters. Damn it, IDW, why did you have to base your Tales Anniversary comic around a Forgotten Tales spin-off game? Well, I know why, but it's continuing off from 2-0 Game Gear and Saturn games that nobody talks about. The classic era is overflowing as it is. Why do I have to include these 2-0 burgers on top of it all? It's becoming even harder to make everything take place in the span of a single year, damn it! Regardless, I have to include the reimaginings of the boss characters from Tales Sky Patrol, the Witchcarters. Naming your band of bullies after their boss's name? Gee, it's almost like they didn't have to put much effort into this below-average Game Gear spin-off or something. First up is Bear Ranger the Bear. Again, nice creativity. His big, tough, New York accent demeanor makes him look to be in his mid-20s, so I'd say he's 28 years old, and he would be 37 if he and the others ever appeared again in year 7. Next is Hogwolf the Wolf. This giggling doofus looks to be a bit younger than Bear Ranger, so I'd say he's about 21 years old in Sky Patrol and 30 years old by year 7. And lastly, Caratia the Rabbit. My personal favorite of the three, and at least she didn't name herself after her species name. I'd say this laid-back, lazy layabout of a lady is 19 years old and 28 by year 7. Mighty the Armadillo. Another beloved fallen warrior. Mighty's birthday will be September the 1st, the release date of his debut in the arcade game Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, the exact release date of any region of the game is unknown, so I just plopped Mighty somewhere in the September range. It's stated in one of the game manuals, which I'll get into more detail in a minute. He is stated to be 16 years old in this era. Sure, he's tough and brave enough to go up against Metal Sonic to defend someone and has the same strength as a 16-year-old Knuckles, so yeah. And if he ever appeared again in the future, he would be 25 by year 7. Charmy Bee. This is where we get to the biggest hurdle in this entire challenge. Team Chaotix. Specifically, the one whose thing is dishing out for Sting. You see, Vector, Espio, and Charmy Bee didn't actually debut in Sonic Heroes, like many newcomers seem to think. And I wouldn't blame them, because they were all actually created for Knuckles Chaotix, the only classic era game that is still yet to have an official re-release after 30 years, because it was only on the short-lived Sega 32X, which in itself is a different story. But the hurdle in all of this is that Knuckles Chaotix is one of the few games that states the ages of the characters in the manuals. Like, it states that Vector is 16, okay, Espio is 17, and Charmy, looking at his cute young design and what we know about his personality, is clearly 16? 60? Okay, I've looked a little bit deeper. The Japanese manual lists off the ages of the playable characters, except for Charmy Bee. I guess they had no idea what to make of him, or they thought that having a 6-year-old with a bunch of teenagers seemed strange. It was only the American annual that states Charmy is 16 in the character description text. Yeah, great place to dump that fact. And honestly, it's for this inconsistency with Charmy's age and the fact that Knuckles Chaotix has never been re-released since the 90s and Sega is refusing to acknowledge it at any point, that everyone considers the game as non-canon. Heroes was the true and canon introduction for these guys. And before 2026, I would have agreed with them and brushed it away too. But then...
Knuckles! You can't just walk out on us! Remember when, against all odds, we beat Metal Sonic Kai at the new Tragic High Zone?
That's oddly specific.
They acknowledge the events of the game in a canon audio drama with the same voice actors from the games. So, you mean to tell me that when they were later reimagined, while Vector and Espio became roughly the same age as they were before, Charmy had regressed 10 whole years since his last adventure? Did the Chaotix Detective Agency solve a case of finding the Fountain of Youth or something similar, and then Charmy, being as reckless and rambunctious as he is, drank too much of it, suddenly making him 6 years old? Do I seriously have to headcanon that too? So, after giving it a great deal of thought, I have come to this decision. I am retconning Charmy to be non-existent in Knuckles Chaotix, but instead it's his father, Charmy Bee.
What are you talking about?
He'd be around 20 years old during the events of the game, but then later in year 2, the single 24-year-old Bee would be too busy with his explorations around the world to take care of his 6-year-old son. So, remembering the Crocodile and Chameleon he met on New Tragic High Zone, they agreed to take the 6-year-old Charmy in as an assistant. And if they run into bad guys, Charmy mentions how hyperactive and full of energy Charmy is around the house. And when he gets angry, get some ointment on hand. So, the Chaotix Detective Agency takes the little guy in, he helps them clean the place or something, and then one day they receive a mysterious package with a walkie-talkie inside. And the rest, as they say, is history. The reason I went with this headcanon fanfiction-y kind of decision is because as far forward into the canon as the Chaotix Case Files audio drama, Charmy is still depicted to be very young, energetic, and wanting to help the team.
Oh! Vector! 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 Vector!
You don't have to raise your hand, Charmy. What is it?
You know what this means?
That we'll all have walkie-talkies?
That this could be my job! The thing I do for the team. I can be the Chaotix Quartermaster.
And if we do the math method we have been doing for the other characters, Charmy would be either 2 years old in Chaotix if he is 6 in Heroes, 10 in Heroes, and 15 by year 7 if he is 6 in Chaotix, or if he is 16 in Chaotix, he would be 20 years old in Heroes and 25 in year 7. Wouldn't really match, would it? So, I'd make him 6 years old in Heroes, like it says in the manual, then he'd be 7 in year 3, 8 when he is in the White Void in year 4, 9 when he fought in an apocalyptic war in year 5, when having a Halloween adventure in year 6, he'd be 10, and when solving their biggest case yet in year 7, he'd be 11 years old, meaning he would be young enough to make little jokes, boast to others about how tough or fast he is, and feel insecure about his position in the agency, or trying to help with cases. That makes sense, right?
I think you drank too much swamp water when you were a baby.
It will be eerie having Charmy never mentioning or remembering his father I just made up at any point in the future, but that's the best retcon I can think of, okay? Oh yeah, and Charmy's birthday is January 6th, the American release date of Sonic Heroes. I don't want to have Charmy touch Knuckles Chaotix with a 10-foot pole. I still want him to be young, damn it! Vector the Crocodile. Going into much more simpler territory, Vector's birthday will be April the 21st, the release date of the established Knuckles Chaotix. During the Classic era, I'll keep his age from the Chaotix manual, 16 years old, meaning in year 2, when the detective agency is up and running, he will be 20 years old, matching up with the Sonic Heroes manual again. In year 3, he'll be 21 years old. Year 4, 22. Year 5, 23. Year 6, 24. And when locked up in a cage by Eggman in year 7, he will be telling us about the strange case the agency had just solved in a sexy 25-year-old voice. I could listen to his narrations all day. I need something to listen to while I draw. Espio the Chameleon. His birthday will be May the 6th, referencing the Japanese month of release of Sonic the Fighters, where Espio was a playable fighter. See, I knew I could make all 3 of them work somehow. The Heroes Manual lists that Espio is 16 years old. So that means in Knuckles Chaotix, he would be 12 years old, as a ninja still in training, but had at least mastered the art of camouflage. Nature and everything. In year 2, he'd be 16, as established, but has now mastered his ninja skills, as evident in the opening cutscene. In year 3, he'd be 17, in year 4, he'd be 18, in year 5, he'd be 19, in year 6, he'd be 20, and by year 7, he'd be 21 years old. Bok the Polar Bear. Another obscure character who appeared sparingly in the 90s, had a surprise cameo in Sonic Mania, had a secondary role in a Fang-centric comic book, and was never talked about again. I'm having Bok's birthday be August the 14th, the European release date of Sonic the Fighters. Out of the games I had listed as being part of the Classic era, Fighters is not one of them. because it's a spin-off arcade fighting game that has 8 Chaos Emeralds after establishing for many games and many years that there is only 7. But luckily, the Fang the Hunter comic book, meant to advertise Sonic Superstars, had Bark as part of a group of hooligans to find the fabled 8th Chaos Emerald, which in reality was the Warp Topaz. Oh, these writers are so good! And it makes sense that he exists in this universe, because in order for Heavy Magician to make a clone of him to fight back in Mania, they had to have based it off of someone they had either met, scanned, or took a hair with his DNA on it to make the clone, right? And a Japanese manual states that Bark is 17 years old. He's big, he's tough. I'd imagine a Grounder-esque voice for this guy. Sure. And if he ever returned in current times, fat chance he would be 26 years old. Bean the Dynamite. Basically doing a repeat of Bark. Bean's birthday will be June the 2nd, the American release date of Fighters. Heavy Magician scanned him or took a feather off of him to create a magical clone for his boss fight, and then the same Japanese Fighters manual says that he is 15 years old. So I'll roll with that, and if he ever returned, he would be 24. Ray the Flying Squirrel. Now onto a classic era character who actually returned into the public consciousness. Ray's birthday will be July 17th, the international release date of Sonic Mania Plus, where he made his grand playable return. As for his age, well, just by watching him in the Mania's Adventures animations, he looks to be quite young, social, and determined in some cases. So I'd say he's around 8 years old during the events of Mania. And if he ever returned to fight in the Resistance or the Restoration or whatever, or visited Spiral Hill or anything, he would be 17 years old. I'd love to see him glide all the way up to an Egg Fleet battleship and be brave enough to blow it up from the inside. Honey the Cat. Completely forgot about this obscure one-off character when originally writing the script, especially since she only appeared in the arcade fighting game where you have to hold the star button over Amy's icon in order to bring her into existence. But she had cameo appearances in 2 Amy-centric IDW comics, which I personally consider both as canon. So it can't really hurt to include her. This adorable, high-pitched, anime-coated fashionista was born on December the 5th, the European PS3 release date of the digital re-release of Sonic the Fighters. Honey seems to have a lot of connections to Amy in this classic era continuity, so I might as well imagine making her the same age as Amy when she was redesigned, 11 years old. So, by the latest point in year 7, she would have been 20 years old, having a successful fashion career, and she and Amy would, once in a blue moon, bump into each other. Side note, this video is a really good watch because it demonstrates how Honey could have worked as a rival to Amy. They are way better at forming headcanons than I am. Trip the Sungazer. And at last, the final classic era character, for now at least, is adorable, shy, introverted little Trip. Her birthday will be October the 17th, the release date of her only game appearance so far, Sonic Superstars. Her age though, I have to guess, because by this point in time, Sega, Sonic Team, and everyone else involved had just given up on giving any new characters ages. or even revealing the ages of established characters on website bios anymore. They have heard how inconsistent most of them are, so they decided to just abandon them altogether instead of fixing them. Well, since some of the story mode cutscenes feature Trip forming a strong friendship with Amy, who I had theorized is 8 years old in this era, I shouldn't make Trip too much older than her. 10 years old. I have researched that the armor she wears was handed down to protect the Black Onyx, so it may be a Sungazer tradition that reaching a milestone age will grant you permission to gain full responsibility of such ceremonial armor and a guardian role. And if Trip and Amy ever reunite during a road trip or whatever, she would be 19 years old by year 7. Big the Cat. And now we no longer have to take the classic era or the hypothetical 3-year-long time skip into account anymore. Now we can start off in the modern era and work our way up from each character's debut year, starting off with the character with the worst gameplay style in the entire Sonic series. I'm having Big's birthday be December the 23rd, the Japanese release date of Sonic Adventure. The hero's manual states that he is 18 years old. Sheesh, if Big wasn't so genuinely innocent and small-minded, I'd think him with the rest of Team Rose would be very unsettling. So, when he is searching for Froggy on the egg carrier in year 1, he'd be 17 years old. Then, when looking for him on the egg fleet, 18. Then at Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park, 19. Then in White Space, 20. Then during the Apocalypse, 21. Then in Cyberspace, 22. And then on the racetracks, 23 years old. Hasn't Big ever considered buying a leash for Froggy? Tikal the Echidna. Hidden in the same game is this fallen angel, the only one of the ancient Echidna tribe who saw the goodness in the emeralds their land protected. But when her father was blinded by greed and ultimate power, angering chaos into a monstrous form, Tikal willingly sacrificed her body to strip chaos of his power and seal him and herself away in the Master Emerald. God. But when the emerald shattered around 3,000 years later, she used her spirit form to guide our heroes, and some random purple cat, and a robot into defeating perfect chaos. And once all of the negativity is exposed from chaos, he and Tikal's spirit ascend into heaven, finally getting their long-deserved peace.
All's well that ends well, right?
I'm having Tikal's birthday be June the 27th, the European release date of Sonic Adventure DX for the GameCube. I heard from official sources that Tikal was 14 years old at max during her final mortal moments, so I'll run with that. Wait, she was only 14 when she... should I say died? Because she left her body to be a spirit and ascended into heaven at the very end, so did she die? Jesus, that's fucking dark. Cream the Rabbit. This precious little angel's birthday will be June the 18th, the American release date of Sonic Adventure DX, where she makes a surprising, unexplained cameo after the Casinopolis level. Yeah, I'm digging real deep to make these birthday dates separated as far apart from each other as possible. Her actual story-centric debut was in Sonic Advance 2, which takes place in year 1, and here she will be 5 years old. quite young, I'm aware, but she would do anything to save her mother. Then she'd be 6 in year 2, lining up with the hero's manual, 7 in year 3, 8 in year 4, 9 in year 5, 10 in year 6, and 11 years old in year 7, where she got Eggman nightmares. She'd still be young enough to be pure, innocent, and kind, but I'm not sure about her voice being exactly the same though.
You remember Chocolate, don't you, Mr. Tails? Miss Amy and Mr. Big helped us rescue him from Neo Metal Sonic.
Unless it'll sound like the helium voice of every VTuber known to man when she'll be an adult. It might need to be a tiny bit deeper in the future. I know it won't, but still. Vanilla the Rabbit. Now, Cream's mother will be born on December the 19th, the Japanese release date of Sonic Advance 2, who survived being grabbed by Sonic when falling from the atmosphere onto solid ground. Mobius logic. Her age is gonna be a bit difficult to guess, since she had to be old enough to be legally pregnant with a child, so let's say 20 years old, then 9 months of labor, 21, raise her child for 5 years with an even balance of soft kindness and stern politeness, 26, year 2, 27, year 3, 28, year 4, 29, year 5, 30, year 6, 31, and year 7, 32 years old. And given how Vector famously has endless affection with Vanilla, the age gap between them, if they were ever dating, isn't too extreme, and they are both adults anyway, so if I am wrong about all this and this is actually a felony or something, then I deeply apologize, but I really couldn't make Vanilla any younger. Now then, going off track for a minute, a major character I've decided to exclude from this list is Shadow the Hedgehog. Why? He was a biological creation made in an orbiting space laboratory made with alien blood and animal DNA, created to be a weapon of ultimate power. So Shadow doesn't really age the same way as most other animals, because from day one he already looks the same as a teenage hedgehog. Besides, if it had been a couple of years from the day he was released to the gun raid, wouldn't this mean that he is 2 years old or something when he was frozen in the capsule, and then Eggman freed him on Prison Island 50 years later? So should that mean that he is now 52 during the events of Adventure 2? Or with him being frozen in stasis, meaning not a single aspect about him changes, he would still be 2 years old when the island blew up? Or... yeah, you can see why I'm not including him here. And the official Sonic team thought so too, even in the Heroes Manual. I mean, his debut wasn't that long ago. But I can at the very least tell you what his birthday will be. Or at least the day Gerald was finished and Shadow first roamed the space colony Ark. The 19th of June, the American release date of Sonic Adventure 2. Speaking of that game, Rouge the Bat. Her birthday would be May the 3rd, the European release date of Adventure 2 Battle. The Hero's Manual states that Rouge is 17 years old. But this is the only time I'm going against this random number pick. I mean, have you seen her design? So, in her debut in Adventure 2, set in Year 2, she will be 19 years old enough to get a job as either a spy or a gun agent. And for some of you, yes, This means, by my own rules or mindsets, Rouge is one of the only Anthropomorphs on this list so far that you can legally make... cosplays. Yeah, that's it. You can make humanized takes of her in her iconic costume. God, no wonder everyone was pissed off when Sega shot her with the marketable gun. Anyway, she would be 20 years old when she's bombing windows in Kingdom Valley, 21 when she gets free food, 22 when she assists in saving the world, 23 when she helps rescue the God of Dreams, and 24 when she is accused of stealing astroscopic lenses. Not much would have changed on her visually. With me making her a legal adult all the way through, she can dress how she desires. I just only wish the game's voice directors gave her the sexy voice to match.
Sonic is getting ready to confront the monster that trapped us here. If I'm going to switch the emeralds without him noticing, we have to do it now.
I need to settle something first.
Whatever.
Mimic, I know it's you. What have you done with the real Rouge? Maria Robotnik. The wiki says it's unknown what age Maria was when she was...
Maria!
Yeah. What was with the adventure games killing off innocent minors? And according to an interview, Takashi Iizuka said that if she were still alive in the present day, she would be older than Eggman. So, to decide on Maria's age, I'm going to turn to an unlikely source. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The movie. And Knuckles. The on-screen actress for Maria in the film was Alila Brown. I really hope I've said that right. And she would have been roughly 13 during filming, and the character had, well, clearly not the same fate as the one in the games, for obvious reasons, but one just as unfortunate and traumatic to Gerald and Shadow. So, I have made Maria's final age to be 13 years old, still quite young enough to have a loving sibling-type bond with Shadow. And 50 years later, if she had survived the bullet to her back, she would have been 63 in Adventure 2's present day. I predicted Eggman would have been 45 by then, so it all checks out. And as for her birthday, well, how about a more wholesome answer? June the 19th, the same day Shadow was brought to the world. Or the Ark. Maybe, as a special birthday treat, her grandfather decided to gift her with the creation he had spent so long developing to perfection, and as a reward for coping with her illness for so long. After being by herself on the colony for a while, she was gifted with a new, true friend, one she could show the world to, one who will protect her until the end, one she will cherish forever. Professor Gerald Robotnik. I'm predicting Gerald would be born on December the 15th, the Japanese release date of Shadow 05. Can't believe I now have to call it that. And during his final moments, before the firing squad opened fire, he looks to be almost retirement age, with loads of research, knowledge, and experience behind him, as well as tragedy, loss, and vengeance. So, why don't I make Gerald, at that day, be the same age as Maria would have been when Shadow was released, and if she was still alive? 63 years old. A bit of a poetic bond it would have been, right? Jet the Hawk. Onto a set of characters with much less tragic backstories behind them, the Babylon Rogues. I've decided that the leader of the group was born on February 21st, the American release date of Sonic Riders. At this point in time, we have gone past Sonic Heroes, so there are no more manuals to look for information. But Sonic Channel used to list the new characters' ages on their website bios. So, until a certain distance, we're going to use their age listings there as starting points and then keep going from there. When Jet was searching for Babylon Gardens in year 2, he was 14 years old, as the website says. When hunting for the Ox of the Cosmos in year 3, he was 15. When the Rogues took a hiatus in Shame in year 4, he was 16. When they made a comeback in the IDW series in year 5, he was 17. When he was stealing Angel Island relics in year 6, he was 18. And when trying to prove who's the fastest once and for all in year 7, he's 19 years old. Wave the Swallow. The sensible mechanic of the hunting team was born on January 8th, the American release date of Riders Zero Gravity. According to Sonic Channel, she is 18 years old, which shall be her age during year 2. In year 3, she was 19. In year 4, she was 20. In year 5, she was 21. In year 6, she was 22, and when competing with Tails once more in year 7, she'll be 23 years old. Storm the Albatross. Storm's birthday will be May the 24th, the digital release date of Sonic Free Riders. See the pattern I did there? In year 2, he would be 19 years old, as the website said. Year 3, 20. Year 4, 21. Year 5, 22. Year 6, 23. And in Year 7, 24. Princess Elise. Do I really have to talk about this sack of plot holes? Honestly? Okay. So... 10 years before the events of Year 3, when Sonic 06 takes place, Elise was the daughter of the Duke of Soliana. But when he was experimenting on their god, Solaris, in an attempt to travel back in time to let Elise see her deceased mother, everything blew up in his face. Solaris was separated into 2 evils, and the Duke sealed one of them, Iblis, inside of Elise's body to protect the world. Listen to this next bit, it's gonna blow your minds. In his final moment alive, he warns her that if she ever cries, ever, Iblis will be unleashed and the world is doomed. No. Seriously. And then the instant that warning is said, the Duke dies. And Elise didn't immediately cry over the fact that now she has no parents anymore, or anything else a child like her would get into during an entire decade. The hardships of living alone, not exploring beyond your kingdom for protection, any romantic or drama movie she watched on TV, scraping her knee, hay fever, laughing too hard. Well, by some fucking miracle, she managed to resist crying for 10 years straight. Just bear with me for a second. And in Year 3, when she was destined to kick off the Soliana Sun Festival, all hell breaks loose. Literally. Elise comes very close to crying many times in Sonic 06, or dying, since that's another way Iblis can be released. Yeah, risk dooming the whole world by committing suicide there. You are fucking lucky Sonic wasn't a second later or earlier. But Mephiles, the other half of Solaris, stabbing her one true love was the breaking point. The cocky blue rat she had first met only a few days ago. Yeah, I'm putting this whole game down on the what the fuck were you thinking list. So, after that train wreck of a backstory recap, I've decided to make Elise's birthday be March the 23rd, the European release date of the PS3 version of Sonic 06. And I'd imagine the opening cutscene was the first time Elise had announced the beginning of a big town celebration, so I'd imagine she'd be a grown-up age to do such an honor. Maybe 18 years old, meaning she must have been 8 years old when she suddenly became an orphan princess, predating even the events of Sonic 1 by around 5 years. But thankfully, by the end of Sonic 06's final story, they go back in time and erase the earliest form of Solaris from history, as if they never existed. Meaning, the Duke never had the urge to do dangerous experiments on them, Elise could cry all that she wanted because Iblis was never formed, nothing from this game's god-awful story never happened in canon, and hopefully, by the time Elise turns 23 in year 7, she would have settled a sensible romance with some human prince or something, instead of considering bestiality or necrophilia, or both like we had seen before. What? Wait, what do you mean they've recently made new art of Princess Elise? Please don't tell me they're going to reunite her with Sonic in the future. None of us ever want to be reminded of—
I don't care what happens to the world.
Silver the Hedgehog. Now onto a different can of worms introduced in the same car crash of a game. Originally, Silver was a hedgehog who lived 200 years in the future and was constantly thawing out the elemental monster who ruled over the fiery ruins that was his home, Iblis. But now that this terrible future has been erased from history, thank God, let us blow out this eternal flame. The game's canon now presents us with an alternative timeline. Silver was a hedgehog who lived 200 years in the future and was constantly thawing out the elemental monster who ruled over the fiery ruins that was his home, Ifrit. Yeah, I should explain. I didn't originally intend to make the Rivals games canon to this timeline, since Year 3 had way too many adventures crammed into it already. But in order for the cast to be familiar on who Silver is during the events of Forces, I had to include another game where he plays a major role, since his adventure in Sonic 06 never happened, and the Rivals games were the only games remaining that makes the most sense to reintroduce Silver. However, I had to make some headcanon changes in order for this to have any natural flow, including drastically changing Eggman Nega. I'll get to him later. So, here's my altered take on Silver's future. Since Iblis and his acts of destruction were erased from existence, I had to have another destructive entity as a driving force for Silver to go back in time and prevent it from happening. So, why not Ifrit from the Rivals games? Since Silver didn't originally travel to the past, Ifrit was unleashed by Eggman Nega in order to eliminate the ancestor who ruined the Eggman name. In this future, Silver was born in a fiery hellscape, while the rest of the world was ruled by Nega. So, in desperation, Silver travels back to the past, however he does this all the time, in order to prevent Nega from releasing Ifrit, like collecting the Chaos Emeralds needed to open the portal gate to Ifrit's dimension, or gathering the Chow Ifrit was going to eat to power himself up. No, seriously. Then, after the final boss, after leaving Nega trapped in a pile of rubble in Ifrit's dimension, Silver's future becomes peaceful again. And in order to ensure that it stays that way, he regularly travels back to the past from time to time and assists in world-ending catastrophes, or just hangs out with his new friends to give him a new lease on life. Now then, I'm making Silver's birthday as November 14th, the American Xbox 360 release date of Sonic 06. And the Sonic Channel website stated that Silver is 14 years old, 200 years after year 3. The way I'm categorizing Silver's age here is similar to something like Power Rangers Time Force, where the future and the characters in it will age and move on at the same time as the present day. Like, Time Force begins in the year 3001, the Rangers travel back to the year 2001 to meet the Red Ranger's ancestor. They all return to the future in the series finale. Then later, in the Wild Force team-ups, a year had gone by in their future. 3002 communicating with 2002, and by Megaforce and Ninja Steel, Wes is shown to have aged significantly since then, meaning the Time Force Rangers would be in the year 3014 by the Legendary Battle and 3018 by Dimensions in Danger. So I'm going to try and do the same thing here with Silver. Instead of having him travel to the past, defeat Ifrit, go back to the future, smell the daisies, have a 10-minute sandwich break, and then immediately go back to the past to help the Resistance. I'm going by what the wiki says, in which Silver will stay in his timeline and enjoy its peace until mysterious time portals show up, informing him that his friends from the past need his help. If this is all that they're going to explain about how Silver can time travel, I'm not really satisfied. But regardless, Silver will be 14 in year 3 when he defeats Ifrit. When he gets sucked up by the Time Eater the same way Shadow was in year 4, he will be 15. When he is helping the Resistance in year 5, he will be 16. When he is joining Blaze on her vacation in year 6, he will be 17. And when he enters the Floral Flower competition in year 7, he will be 18 years old. I hope at least one of you understands my changes so far, because I'm not done yet. Blaze the Cat. Completely ignoring her appearance in Sonic 06, I am going with the general fan acceptance, in that Blaze is the princess of the Soul Dimension and has an important responsibility of protecting the Soul Emeralds, like it was established in the game released a year before Sonic 06. Speaking of which, Blaze's birthday will be November the 15th, the earliest release date of Sonic Rush. In year 3, she will be 14 years old, matching up what the Sonic Channel website said. In year 4, she will be 15. Year 5, 16. In year 6, 17. And in year 7, 18 years old, exactly the same age as Silver. Now I can understand the ship. Marine the Racoon. Living in the same alternate dimension, we have Blaze's sidekick, Marine. Her birthday will be September the 27th, the Australian release date of Sonic Rush Adventure, because she's got the accent and the lingo, so why not? Much like how I'm handling Silver's age, Marine and Blaze will age at the same time as all of their friends from that other dimension. Even though Blaze is fighting in a different world, time will forever move forward where Marine is. In year 3, she will be 7 years old, matching the website. Year 4, 8. Year 5, 9. Year 6, 10. And by year 7, 11 years old, still making her young enough to keep her depicted personality by the 2022 IDW Annual. Eggman Nega. This is where things get tricky again. See, I had mentioned that Eggman Nega was the central villain of the Rivals games, but those games contradict who he actually is. Those games depicted him as a descendant of the Robotnik family 200 years from now. But Nega actually debuted alongside Blaze in Sonic Rush, where he was Blaze's Eggman counterpart in the Soul Dimension. Blaze is opposite Sonic, Nega is opposite Eggman. So, which is it? Which backstory is actually canon? Well, the reason I made Nega the Descendants version who got trapped in rubble in the end is because Sonic Rivals 2 has fully voice-acted cutscenes, which clearly say that he is Eggman Nega.
Since you trusted me, I'll tell you what's going on. Eggman Nega wants to unleash the Ifrit upon this world to destroy it.
While the Rush games' cutscenes aren't voice-acted, because the DS probably couldn't handle it. So, to differentiate the two versions, I'm having the Soul Dimension's Eggman counterpart be renamed to Dr. Eggmaster, also known as Dr. Ivan Machinik. Now hear me out on this. I'll give the Soul Dimension counterpart that new name, but keep the inverted wardrobe presented in the Rush games, but have the future counterpart actually named Eggman Nega wear a completely futuristic, almost robotic costume. Why? Well, the stories of both Rivals games feature Nega disguising himself as Dr. Robotnik to trick the others into getting his plans done. Seriously, 1 second he looks like Eggman, and then 2 seconds later his look is completely changed. How can that be possible? Well, why not give Nega a suit that creates a holographic form of Eggman's outfit using futuristic technology from the timeline he came from? Also, he is named Nega, as in Eggman Negative, and so he has a negative opinion on the ancestor who gave his family a bad name in the future. That makes sense, right? Anyway, getting back on point, Eggman Nega's birthday will be December the 1st, the European release date of Sonic Rivals, and Dr. Eggmaster's birthday will be the same as regular Eggman's, June the 23rd, to keep with the alternate counterpart theme. Wait, now I have 3 characters with the same birthday. Small multiverse. And since both people have silver hair in their mustaches, I'm making them 60 years old. Both of them. Because honestly, all of this research is exhausting me, and I just can't be bothered to make one older or younger than the other. And I've still got a long way to go. Professor Pickle. Yeah, I'm not including Chip because even though he looks no different than the other Anthromoles, Chip is actually Light Gaia, an angelic god living within the world's core, who is actually millions of years old. So, while that is set in stone, let's instead speculate the age of the beloved professor from Spagonia University, Mr. Pickle. His birthday will be February the 19th, the Japanese release date of Sonic Unleashed HD, or Sonic World Adventure as it's known over there. Now, Professor Pickle looks to be quite elderly, with lots of knowledge and wisdom to his name, but he's not at retirement age yet, since he is still teaching at the university during the game's story. So I'll say he's around 64 years old by year 3 and 68 by year 7. not really a bad guess for someone who has a cucumber sandwich obsession. The Lost Hex Zeti. This is gonna be an easy one this time because I don't have to speculate anything for these guys. The Deadly 6 edition of Sonic Lost World had profiles for the villains revealing their ages. Where was this? In the manual or something? So, the profiles state that Zavok is 148 years old. Zaz is 127. Zomom is 133, Xena is 120, Zor is 112, and the oldest one, Master Zig, is 1,036 years old. Have the Zeti really existed on this planet alongside other ancient civilizations? Or do they have an aging system similar to, say, dogs, where a human year can be 7 in dog years? Well, I can't really imagine Zor having a goth phase for many decades, or Xena having a bratty high school mean girl attitude for the same amount of time, so fuck it. Zavok will be 148 in year 4, 155 in year 5, 162 in year 6, and 169 when racing against Sage and Metal Sonic in year 7. I'm not even going to bother giving all of them birthdays. If their debut game isn't going to bother explaining anything about these guys, their backstories, their desires, their home, how it came to be, why it lives deep in the clouds like the Animarium, then why should I? Dodon Pa the Tanuki. The ruler of planet Dompa Kingdom, this guy is responsible for making the greatest technological achievements in recent memory. Superpowered cars, ones that use wisp powers, transforming cars, travel rings that can send you to deliberately chosen areas, even having his invitations for his races be able to be sent to different dimensions for Blaze or 200 years in the future for Silver. His tech development was so surreal that everyone immediately suspected that he was allied with Eggman. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw him, I was fooled too. The way he looked in the CG cutscene, the same huge bushy mustache, the king attire. I just assumed that they were just doing a repeat of King Dog from Free Riders. But Dodon Pa never was. Eggman was stealing the ultimate energy engine from him. He truly is a nice, trustworthy guy. He just has a confusing way of showing it. I'm having Dodon Pa's birthday be May the 21st, the release date of his debut game, Team Sonic Racing. He has a grey-haired mustache, so I assume he's a bit on the older side, but still smart enough to have all of these amazing ideas. So let's say that he's 58 years old by year 4, 59 in year 5, 60 in year 6, and 61 when he organizes another racing tournament in year 7. Styx the Badger. It seems really strange for me to include one of the characters from the Sonic Boom series, since that's a completely separate universe or continuity from the main series. But then, to everyone's surprise, she was suddenly name-dropped by Amy at the very end of Frontiers.
I wonder if Cream and Styx are free. Make a road trip out of it.
And even though they have done next to nothing else with this take on Styx since that game, yet, good for her. I liked her in the Boom show. Her unique living environments, her distrust for robots or anything too modern, her being over-reliant on conspiracy theories and superstitions.
But pretty things attract government agents and possums, and you know how horrible they smell. The possums too.
It made her pretty unique from the rest. But now that we know that there's a take of Styx in the main continuity, and that Amy has likely met her more than once, this is making me wonder where the flying hell Styx was during events like the Eggman domination or the metal virus. Me? I'd like to think that she lives in a peaceful part of the world with not many gadgets or tech. Maybe Adabat, perhaps? I wouldn't make her exactly the same as she was in the Boom Show, because they famously changed the characters drastically over there. They made Sonic a sarcastic layabout, they made Amy a strict woman boss, and they gave Knuckles severe brain damage.
Maybe our A game makes his A game look like a Z game. Oh, that's much worse if you understand the alphabet. Isn't it?
So, I'd still make Styx a bit of an introvert and have a distrust in technology, especially Eggman's badniks, but after meeting Amy during her Unleashed adventure, or something, she warmed up to her, and she sometimes remembers to call in for some gossip or help in a crisis. Maybe she did fight in the Resistance off-screen with her trusted Jungle Joyride boomerang. Or maybe she just shot herself away in the Adabat jungle during the metal virus pandemic. I'm just spitballing ideas here. Anyway, I'd have Styx's birthday be... Oh, I've got way too many November and December birthdays already. So, when did the TV show start airing? Oh, Rise of Lyric? Oh, Fire and Ice? Finally, October the 1st, the Australian release date of Boom, Fire and Ice. And luckily, the Sonic Channel website had a page for her, so they say that Styx is... Where's the age box? Was 2014 the year when they gave up giving the characters ages? I seriously have to make up how old they are from now until the end? Fine. I'm going to say Styx is 16 years old by year 3, where I just headcanoned Amy first met her. When the Eggman invasion started in year 4, she'll be 17. During the bulk of the war in year 5, she'll be 18. When occasionally popping into Resistance HQ in year 6, she'll be 19. And when having that off-screen road trip with Amy and Cream in year 7, she will be 20 years old, able to open up to new, kind friends, but doesn't let her guard down when Eggman's robots are around.
I knew you were coming, but you will never obliterate Styx, because Styx is unobliterate me! You can't kill me.
Infinite the Jackal. He is a really confusing case, mainly because of how little Sonic Forces cared about explaining its story. From what I understand, this guy was part of a squad of mercenaries called Jackal Squad. Most creative team name in the world, isn't that right, Team Hedgehog? They were going to storm Eggman's base, steal his equipment, and make bank off of it. But when the Jackal seized the power of the Phantom Ruby, Eggman convinced him to join his side. Later, Shadow storms in, cripples everyone in Jackal Squad, kicks his ass, and tells him the truth.
Worthless. Don't show your pathetic face around me ever again.
To show Shadow that, "No, I'm not the weak one, you are, you big bully," he harnesses the power of the Phantom Ruby that just teleported at Eggman's front door. Seriously, that's all the prequel comics ever tell us, and renames himself as infinite due to the infinite amount of power the Ruby and his new armor can give himself. He, quote, kills Sonic with his clones, then a Sony Vegas time skip where nothing happens, the easiest boss fight in the game, a big long streak of nothing happens, one more hit to the chest, the Ruby is destroyed, and then Infinite just flies away? He flies away, and we hadn't seen eye or tail from this jackass ever since. Well, good riddance, since I wasn't really that big of a fan of him, but where the hell is he? He mysteriously vanished? Okay, but where? In null space? Do you know what? That's what I'm sticking to. The weapon he abused so much in the game served him right, it shot him straight into null space, and we hadn't seen Infinite since then because he died of starvation in this dark void of emptiness.
Were you serious when you said you knew who the actual thief was?
Yes, come here. It's Infinite.
Infinite?
No way!
The file name is what tipped me off. Red Spectre. Sonic, what's another name for Spectre?
I know, Phantom, you said that. But how's... Oh, Ruby Red, Red Spectre, the Phantom Ruby!
Exactly.
Okay, so he was presumed dead after the final fight in Forces. Like, they're making us think that him flying away never happened, but he somehow survived, laid low for about 2 years, and then went on a quest from some unidentified benefactor, yet, to steal the astroscopic lenses, using them to disguise himself as many different characters, and using all of the lenses combined will amplify his power for revenge? Okay. And why is Eggman suddenly saying that he's his greatest spy or whatever he said?
Infinite, my most trusted and accomplished lieutenant.
Dr. Eggman.
I'm given to understand that you've done me the favor of collecting the rest of the astroscopic lenses.
Ah, yes. I see you have the last one right there.
Yes, indeed, my esteemed subordinate.
He thought he was terrible back in Forces, and so do I. He wasn't any more intimidating in the Chaotix case files than he was in Forces, honestly. It's kinda hard to recover. For me, anyway. Everyone else was ecstatic for his return. Sorry for sounding too harsh or emotional with this guy, but Forces built itself up for having huge stakes, damaging consequences, and possibly the biggest challenges our heroes will face with a villain with the power to surpass all the others. But then they rushed the entire story, mistranslations made the characters sound worse than they really were, they never changed for the worst after 6 months of war, everything felt like it was resolved so quickly and easily, and if any related media didn't even bother telling us the villain's actual name before he gave himself a nickname, why should I care about him? If they're not going to give him an actual name, I will. Slasher here was born on November 7th, the earliest release date of Sonic failures. And given how experienced and deep his voice is, I'd say he's about 23 years old. But this section of the script was fully written a few weeks before the Chaotix Case Files finale, so I now have to do a last minute rewrite and say that Infinite is 25 years old in year 7, where I speculate the audio drama takes place, but before IDW issue 79, because Tangle and Whisper originally suspected that the culprit impersonating everyone was Mimic. I'll talk more about this part of the timeline in a minute. Now then, enough of this pile of wasted space, time to move on to some actual characters. Tangle the Lemur, the Luz Nacida of the Sonic franchise. Not just from their personalities, but because they have a popular, beloved romance. Okay, now I'm getting into the endless rabbit hole that is the exclusive characters from the ongoing comic book series from IDW. Starting in 2018, this series is continuing off of the ending of Forces, where the Resistance won the war, and it's now in its rebuilding stages, and crafting its own story arcs and plot ideas from there, including Eggman getting amnesia after the final boss and becoming Windmill Village's repairman for a period of time, Metal Sonic returning in his Neo form to take control of Angel Island, and a serious outbreak of a metal virus that turns anyone and anything into robotic zombies. Thank God all of this is canon. I haven't read every single issue of this series. In fact, I'm watching voice dubs and full page scans of the latest issues as I am typing this. I don't think you're supposed to see this. And after watching or reading all that I can and consulting reading guides fans can recommend to the masses, here is my guess as to what happens chronologically during Wave 5 and beyond. Year 4. Episode Shadow in Sonic Forces, and then 1 month later is Lost Valley where Eggman attacks the city. Year 5. 6 months of the war, which is around the last 4 months of Year 4 and then the first 2 of Year 5. After that is the rest of Forces where they win. Then 1 month later is issues 1 to 12, the Tales of Terror, if it counts, the entire 2019 annual, issues 13 to 15, Reflections, issue 16, the Tangle and Whisper miniseries, issue 17, Eggman's Day Off, issues 18 to 20, Darkest Hour, Flock Together, issues 21 to 23, The Catalyst, issue 24, Big's Big Adventure, issues 25 to 32, Deep Trouble, Another Grand Adventure for Jet the Hawk, and the Bad Guys miniseries. Year 6, issues 33 to 36, Weapons, issues 37 to 40, Tails Tube 1 and 2, yes, I'm counting this series, issues 41 to 44, Tails Tube 4, issues 45 to 47, Imposter Syndrome 1, issue 48, A Rough Patch, Imposter Syndrome 2 and 3, issue 49, Imposter Syndrome 4, issues 50 to 56, Hero Camp, Future Growth, Guardians, Sonic Dream Team, the Scrapnik Island miniseries, Shattered Diamonds, issues 57 to 64, The 900th Adventure, Tails Tube 5 and 8, Endless Summer, Winter Jam, because it takes place in the summer, false advertising with the title, Tails Tube 7, A Very Chaotix Halloween, Tails Tube 9, issues 65 to 67, Grow Up and Behave Yourselves, Tails Tube 3, Frontiers Convergence, Frontiers Divergence, Frontiers itself, including Final Horizons, because why not? I want Sage to live. Issue 68, and Tails Tube 6 and 10. And Year 7, Spring Broken, Tails Tube 11, The Chaotix Case Files, issues 69 to 75, Heroes Calling, issues 76 to 80, the Chaotix 30th Anniversary Special, Tails Tube 12, 13, and 14, the Sonic Racing Crossworlds tie-in comic. The game itself doesn't have a story mode like the last one, so I'm not sure if the game itself counts. For My Destiny, and the latest arc at the time of recording, issues 81 to 87. You have no idea how long all of this took, including rewriting the entire script to include Year 7 because I originally ended it all at Year 6. I have dug myself a hole way too deep to climb back out of again. But getting back on point, let's talk about the cute bubbly lemur. I'm having Tangle's birthday be April the 25th, the release date of her debut comic, issue 4. As for her age, well, obviously the Sonic Channel website had stopped listing official ages anymore for marketing and longevity, so there aren't any more official sources we can use. Or is there? There do exist some IDW trading cards that I had no idea about, and Tangle's card reads that she is 15 years old. It's a good enough age for me. It's young enough to match with her energy and personality.
The baddies get rough on the road, I can take and dish it back with an extra side of that'll teach ya. I'm fast, I'm limber, I'm tough. I'm a winner.
Bee. Oh, because he said Bee. Wait, wait. Why isn't anyone else laughing? Aw, that was funny!
God, that voice is perfect! So, when a badnik assault attacks Spiral Hill in year 5, Tangle is 15. When she goes on a camping adventure in year 6, she was 16. And by the latest issues in year 7, she will be 17 years old. Whisper the Wolf. Another insanely beloved character from the comics.
Tangle and Whisper.
A lone soldier who fought in the war in secret, taking out hordes of robots in the shadows with her variable Wisp-On to aid struggling forces. The Resistance nicknamed this mysterious beacon of hope as the Guardian Angel of the battlefield.
Their idea, not mine.
But even before the war, she still helped in destroying Eggman invasions and leftover bases, along with her own team of heroes, the Diamond Cutters. But after an incident that we'll get into later, she has become very shy, quiet, insecure, and works alone. Get it? Still doing a good job, but has a strong feeling of guilt, since she agreed to the mission that ended in tragedy. But after joining Sonic and crew into dethroning Neo Metal Sonic on Angel Island, she has opened up more and more to the animals around her, especially her girlfriend, Tangle. But she can still pack quite a punch with her special weapon. Say, do you think that she can use more wisps with that thing? I mean, if she can allow Tails to upgrade it, she can already use laser for laser shots, cube for a hammer, rockets for missiles, spikes as a buzzsaw, and hover to fly. But what else do you think she can use? Burst as a flamethrower? Drill to dig underground? Bomb to shoot bombs? Lightning to use a sonic boom whip? Ghost to phase through walls? All of these opportunities, and we've only seen her use the same 5 wisps. A bit underwhelming. So anyways, I'm having Whisper's birthday be August the 15th, the release date of her debut comic, issue 8. And just like Tangle, she also had a trading card which stated that she is 16 years old. Fine by me. She was 16 when she secretly fought in the war in year 5, 17 when she was trapped in a parallel world in year 6, and when she finally disposed of her old companion's murderer in year 7, she was 18 years old. God, I feel for Whisper, man. No wonder she gained a huge following so quickly. Is she okay? Did she pass out after hearing one of her favorite characters will be in the next episode? Well, I mean, I was just as excited as she is, but I didn't scream for joy or when holy shit! The Diamond Cutters. Speaking of Whisper, this'll be a good time to mention the team she was originally the scout for. The Gen 1 Diamond Cutters. Clairvoyant the Howler Monkey, the team's psychic operative, born 4th of April and was last recorded as 15 years old. Slinger the Ocelot, the Marksman, born October 25th and was only 14 years old. Jesus. Smithy the Lion, the crafter and unofficial leader of the group, born July the 6th and was 20 years old. And the Infiltrator, Mimic, is an entirely different can of worms, so I'll save him for later. But in the end, all 3 soldiers were killed after being locked in a room filled with dangerous shadow androids. In the present time, the Restoration needed a rapid response team, and Tangle, after growing so attached to Whisper, decided to name their new team of them, Silver, and Lanolin the new Diamond Cutters. It took some massive convincing on Whisper's end, given her own self-guilt, but eventually she accepted, knowing her companions, their name, and their efforts wouldn't be in vain. Rough and Tumble, the Skunks. I'm having Ruff's birthday be March the 1st, the release date of the 2019 annual, where they had an unusual encounter inside Eggman's pyramid base, abandoned after Adventure 2. And Tumble's birthday would be October the 7th, the release date of The Bad Guys #1. Given the pattern I have had with big and strong, or cunning, no more Mr. Nice Guy, personalities, I'm having these guys be in their 20s. Those aforementioned trading cards were only from the Tangle and Whisper miniseries, meaning I now have to guess for the remainder of this video. Ruff will be 23 by year 5, 24 in year 6, and 25 years old by year 7. And Tumble will be 28 in year 5, 29 in year 6, and 30 years old by year 7. Dr. Starline the Platypus. The one who found the warp topaz from the Fang the Hunter miniseries. Yeah, remember that? Allowing him to create instant portals to either a few feet away from him or to completely different countries. Starline used the warp topaz to find an amnesiac Eggman, known as Mr. Tinker by Windmill Village, and bring him back to his evil self. Starline admired Dr. Eggman and his genius, especially when he witnessed how easily his metal virus can infect and spread. But he soon realized that Eggman was really a man of great ideas, but terrible in execution, or thinking about them in the long term. So Starline tried to surpass Eggman many times so that he could learn by his example, banding the comics' biggest villains for his own game, using Bell's data to create brainwashed and technologically advanced polar opposite enemies for Sonic and Tails, and creating the Tricore, which allowed him to use speed, flight, and power cores all at once infinitely. You know, the level up orbs from Heroes.
Level up! Level up! Level up!
Level up!
Level up!
Level up!
Level up! Level up!
Level up!
Level up! Level up!
Level up!
Shut up!
But what this all led to was Eggman seeing past all of his plans anyway, giving him the high ground. Starline was in so much pity and disbelief that despite of all of his careful planning and forethought, he still ultimately lost, that he didn't notice the underground base around him caving in, killing him amongst all the rubble. I'm having Starline's birthday be November the 28th, the release date of his debut comic, issue 11. Given his personality, I'm going to guess that he's around 18 years old in year 5, and then when he died in year 6, he was 19. Jewel the Beetle. The curator of the Spiral Hill Mineral Museum, she often gets roped into Tangle's antics and adventures ever since they were both young, but she does prefer the more peaceful, quieter work in her new office. Jewel's birthday will be the 31st of July, the release date of Tangle and Whisper #1. Thank God Jewel was in this miniseries, because she also had a trading card with official confirmation. She was 16 years old in year 5, and thus 17 in year 6 and 18 in year 7. Mimic the Octopus. The remaining member of the Gen 1 Diamond Cutters, who ultimately betrayed them by rather joining the winning team after Sonic's defeat by Infinite. Well, he's not entirely wrong, and led most of them to their deaths. With Whisper being the only one remaining, he used his own powers of shapeshifting to fool her and others into thinking that their friends had betrayed her, even her best friend, Tangle. Fortunately, Whisper is wise enough to see past his ruses, and after many encounters and battles, he stabbed his own energy core with his own dagger in an attempt to take them both out. A last resort, which didn't pay off. Whisper survived, and her old friends were finally avenged. I'm having Mimic's birthday be June 25th, the release date of issue 79, the issue where justice was served and Mimic was killed off. Good riddance. Since he debuted in the Tangle and Whisper miniseries, he is the only remaining comic character with an official age. He was 32 in year 5, 33 in year 6, and 34 years old when he died in year 7. Sheesh, the IDW comics really don't have the restrictions of killing off most of their villains or secondary characters, don't they? Why couldn't Infinite be killed off for abusing the Phantom Ruby's power too much, instead of just flying off to Flynn knows where? Nite the Owl. The ever-beloved radio host for Sunset City, this kind, warm owl can give the latest news and commentary on KTBR 199.2 all night long. I'm having Nite's birthday be 8th of July, the release date of the 2020 annual, where he and Dawn first appeared, being the last line of hope to bring coordinates and information to Resistance HQ, where a Zombot attacks them and spreads to them off-panel. And to think the metal virus pandemic started a year before the real world we all live in had its own terrifying pandemic. Nite seems to be a kind, middle-aged kind of guy, so I'd make him 52 years old by year 5, 55 by year 6, and 54 when he was going undercover at the Clean Sweepstakes in year 7. Why not? Dawn the Rooster. Nite's assistant at the radio station who hates doing night work. Oh, I get it. Nite and Dawn? Dawn? The rooster wakes you up in the dawn? Sneaky. Dawn's birthday will be February the 23rd, the release date of issue 48, the first time he and Nite appeared in a main numbered issue. I would guess that Dawn is 34 by year 5, 35 by year 6, and 36 years old by year 7. Clutch the Opossum. A generation ago, Clutch was a criminal arms dealer, beating heroes, stealing their weapons, and selling them to make a quick buck. Eventually, he retired and became a Chow racing champion. But we later find out that this guy locks up Chow who failed to win. Eventually, Starline attacked his residence at White Park, burying it in an intentional avalanche, leaving his collection of treasures and scrap confiscated. Nowadays, he scurries around in secret, back to his scrap-selling ways to get his own fortune back. Clutch's birthday will be... well, I don't want to have another October date, so I'll make it September the 15th, the month of publication of his debut comic, issue 33. He said that he started his black market shit a generation ago, so let's say that he was around 20 years old when he started. A couple of years go later, he retired at 33, 20 years pass. When his residence was buried in year 6, he was 53, and when Clean Sweep Inc. was exposed in year 7, he was 54 years old. Lanolin the Sheep. Originally a minor character in the comics who had just one line of dialogue in issue 2 and made background roles for the Resistance ever since, and another speaking role in issue 37, Lanolin didn't get a much bigger role, or even her name, until 56 issues later. You could say that she was the Butch of the IDW series. Eventually, she formed significance by creating a new rapid response team, the Gen 2 Diamond Cutters, and regularly joins in the action with her own Golden Bell Wisp-On, allowing her to shoot devastating sound waves with her Rhythm Wisp, Maggie. Glad to see that confusingly terrible color power from Lost World now has a better purpose for existing. Lanolin's birthday will be February the 8th, the release date of issue number 57, the issue where she permanently became a regular character. She seems to be the strict, responsible, no-nonsense kind of character, much more than Jewel or Amy at least, so I'll guess that she's about 19 when her village was in the middle of Badnik fire in year 5, 20 when she worked and assisted the restoration in year 6, and by year 7 she will be 21 years old. Surge the Tenrek. Surge was originally just some normal old Tenrek living her own life. Her old life is unknown at this point. But then, somehow, Dr. Starline kidnapped and brainwashed her with his hypnotic glove that Sonic is her greatest enemy and must be destroyed by her hand, with some cybernetic enhancements to give her super speed and lightning powers. She yelled and struck at the Blue Menace. But then, she begins to recollect. She had never seen or heard of this Hedgehog before. Why would she be fighting him? Why does she have to kill him? But then Starline would beam her back to her single gold mindset and attack again. But when Starline was killed off and she couldn't be brainwashed anymore, she and Kit were given the chance to turn over new leaves and become heroes. But Surge had been brainwashed into killing Sonic so much for so long that this directive has almost been cemented into her mind. Even after trying to dispose of Clutch after he used her and Kit at the clean sweepstakes, she still won't get any satisfaction until Sonic is out of the picture, or be considered a true hero by the masses. By any means necessary. I'm having Surge's, or whatever name she originally had, I'm having her birthday be... shit, I have way too many November dates. August 25th. Surge's attitude and demeanor makes her seem like some rough, loud teenage goth type. You know, if Luna Loud didn't have a soul. So I'd say Surge was around 16 years old when she was first experimented on by Starline in year 5. You can see her life capsule in the background in the Bad Guy series. When she took on Sonic in Eggperial City, she was 17, and when she went up against the Phantom Rider in year 7, she was 18 years old. Kit the Fennec. Dragged into the same Starline experiment as Surge, Kitsunami was brainwashed into eliminating Tails and assisting her companion no matter what. Because of this, he is extremely loyal to Surge. Like, extraordinarily loyal. Kit may not be as brooding or tough as her, he's more insecure in fact. But if you cross him or get in his way, his eyes will glow, and he will still do whatever it takes to drown Tails with his own backpack of artificial water tentacles. I'm having Kit's birthday be... oh, for fuck's sake. March 14th. Kit looks to be younger than Surge, so I'll say he was 11 years old in year 5, 12 in year 6, and 13 in year 7. Professor Victoria, a character who caused a stir in the fanbase when she randomly appeared in the first Tales Tube video. She made frequent cameos and hints to her throughout the franchise, including Professor Gerald's journal in Shadow Generations. She didn't actually get a real role until Tales Tube 11 and in the Chaotix Case Files audio drama. Professor Victoria is one of the professors at Spagonia University. There has been no words from or about Professor Pickle since Unleashed, so maybe Tori took over his role after retirement or something? While she's usually researching about ancient civilizations of the past, like the Gaians or the Ancients, she also doubles as a gun agent, like when she led the Chaotix to the file name Red Spectre, aka the Phantom Ruby, leading us to Infinite. Tori's birthday shall be March 27th, the upload date of her first on-screen appearance and speaking role, Tales Tube number 11. I'd say Tori is around 31 in year 6, and then 32 when she helped out the Chaotix in year 7. Megani the Jackal. Here's a character who has only appeared in the Chaotix Anniversary comic so far, but I'm including her because I'm pretty sure that her antagonistic alter ego, Enigma, I see what you did there, will be the next big recurring foe the detective agency will face soon enough. Although it's hard to tell if she will appear again, since not only are we focusing on a completely different story arc right now, but the comic she is from is rather loose, with nothing clear enough to show where exactly it is in the IDW timeline. So I'm making Menagi's birthday be October the 22nd, the release date of her only appearance. And judging by both of her personas, she looks quite young enough to do a newbie's kind of job, but experienced and skilled enough to be a seasoned fighter against someone like Espio. So let's say that she's about 15 years old by year 2. Most of the comic is a flashback story to the agency's first ever case. And as we skip forward to year 7, and when Enigma is out at large, she will be 20 years old. Salil the Sugar Glider. And the final and latest character that I can include at the time of recording this is Lunar, or Salil as they were originally known. The youngest in a family of acrobats, they started worrying that they aren't good enough for their parents' strict perfectionism, so they watched videos of Sonic's adventures online and started doing all sorts of impressive moves as a hidden form, Lunar, including taking one of the Chaos Emeralds. Later, when their parents came back to discipline them, they grew brave enough to do their own thing in front of their parents, who, after seeing the error of their actions, accepted their desires, especially after using those new moves to take out a giant Eggman robot. I'm having Salil's birthday be September the 3rd, the release date of their debut comic, issue 81. And I'm having them be around 12 years old by year 7, given their shy, nervous personality. And besides that mystery villain from the end of issue 83 that hasn't been revealed yet, I think that's it. Now before I end everything, I'll just breeze through the characters I didn't decide to include on the list. Metal Sonic, because he's a robot, and robots don't really age the same way humans and animals do. Mecha Sonic, robot. Metal Knuckles, robot. E102 Gamma, robot. Along with Alpha, Beta, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Sigma, etc. Shadow, as I said earlier, he's a biological creation, and he pretty much ages the same way robots do. It's confusing. E123 Omega, robot. Omachow, robot. Emerald, robot. Gemerald, robot. Metal Sonic 3.0, or Eggman Nega's take on Metal Sonic in Silver's future, robot. Chip, aka Light Gaia, the god of light who has existed for millions of years. Since the dawn of time, basically. Orbot, robot. Cubot, robot. Belle the Tinkerer, even though it's said that she has free will and the mindset of a 13-year-old, she's still a robot. Duo the Cat, he was just Mimic in disguise, a Trojan horse plan to take revenge on Whisper. So, he was just a faker.
Faker!
Sage, an AI program with emotions and feelings. So, not really human-like, honestly. Arium the Goat, she's existed for over thousands of years from what I understand, so she's like the Gaia of the Dream Realm. I could list more characters, but I've already done way too much research, replaying, and rewatching already, and I just want to end all of this right now because... holy god. This random idea of mine took way longer to speculate or headcanon as I had originally thought. Not just with figuring out each character's definitive ages, but placing all of this media in a coherent timeline in order for it to make any kind of sense. Something I didn't imagine I'd have to do. The games were easy, for the most part. I grew up with the games. But when adding the IDW comics into the mix, as much as I love the exclusive characters, the writing, the high stakes, and improvements to generally hated characters or elements, it just makes these masses of adventures really hard to fit in comfortably alongside the games that are considered canon by Sega. For the past few months, I had been constantly rewriting this very script, changing years, rearranging games, and adding rejected games into the timeline, because the comics either keep referencing them or having entire story arcs take place in locations from those rejected games. I mean, I didn't consider Tails Sky Patrol to be canon, but the Tails Anniversary comic features the bosses from the game taking revenge. Flaky's Island wasn't originally canon to me, but the same comic had Tails fighting the Witchcarters on Flicky's Island, which Sonic remembers visiting before. Knuckles Chaotix wasn't canon to me, because it majorly screws up how old Charmy is meant to be. But New Trogic High Zone is one of the settings in the Fang the Hunter miniseries, and the fight against Metal Sonic Kai was referenced in the Chaotix case files. A different media, but it's the same problem. Speaking of which, I originally wrote in a joke about how Infinite died in starvation in null space after randomly flying away at the end of Forces. But then the case files retconned his visual defeat and brought him back for revenge, which made me have to write a whole extra paragraph to that part of the script. I didn't originally consider Sonic 4.1 and 4.2 as canon, just like everyone else, because they were just soulless nostalgic Genesis wannabes, and the third episode they had planned was cancelled before the story could be resolved. But then Sonic remembers White Park from episode 2 in IDW issue 33, and that's where the next 4 issues are primarily set. So I just have to assume that the Death Egg Mark II did explode into pieces at the end. Little Planet is now back to normal for Amy to regularly visit, and episode Metal never happened because it contradicts later Metal Sonic appearances after CD. I had originally decided to put Team Sonic Racing after the marathon of stress and tension that was the Metal Virus saga. You know, have a harmless, easy little racing adventure after worrying if every character will make it out alive. But then I remembered that Omega and Zavok are part of the game's story, and the former was yet to be repaired after the Spiral Hill party crash, while the latter was locked in Everhold prison before Dr. Starline released him. And speaking of Zavok, I didn't think of placing the game before Sonic Forces either, like that bullshit official timeline the Japanese website wants you to follow, because why would Zavok be on Mobius or the Racing Planet working for Eggman after they were sworn enemies in Lost World? Unless someone had convinced him down to Mobius. Like, say, Starline with his Warp Topaz? But wait, the first time we see the Deadly Six in the IDW series is on the Lost Hex. So did Eggman just dump Zavok back home in disgrace after he failed him in Team Sonic Racing? It makes no sense, I tell ya! I may complain, I may nitpick, I may tear it to pieces, but at the end of the day, I still love this series. From the gameplay of the games, to the characters with strengths and strong personalities, to the fact that this is one of the few gaming series marketed to kids that bothers to make a cohesive, connected timeline 30 years after some people would care. You can't say that about Mario. Sure, most games would regress the characters for the stories they want to tell. I'm looking at you, Tails. But their core personalities and interactions with other characters are so lovable and interesting that you still can't help but love them. Sure, the timeline doesn't connect all that well, or makes any sense, especially when you consider the original events of Sonic 06. But I'm glad that there is a timeline, that the Japanese Sega team and a lot of Sonic fans can make it all fit together. Well, I mean, I had to do it, and even though I'm not proud of my efforts because I had to headcanon a lot of elements, I'm looking at you, Charmy. I'm at least glad that I had made it make some kind of sense to at least one viewer in my audience. So then, here's to appreciating the timeline and characters we've already got, and let's hope that we can get more enjoyable games and iconic characters in the future. And as for me, well...